everyone, it's Sandra Miller of Biohacking Wellness, your gut intelligence coach. And today I have another really informative episode for you. And this one is on a special, well, it's not a probiotic, but it's a strain of yeast that's actually really beneficial for your gut. And it's called Saccharomyces boulardii. Whoop, wait a minute, let's take a look at that spelling and pronunciation. Okay, now that we have that, I'm just going to make it easy and call it Sac boulardii from now on. I wanted to talk about this really cool strain of yeast today because it has some pretty amazing benefits to your gut health. But before I tout the benefits of Sac boulardii, I want to talk a little bit about something else that's not so friendly. I wanted to introduce you to something called Lipo-polysacchariide and why this might be the source of inflammation in your gut and a lot of other abdominal distresses. So what is LPS or lipopolysaccharide? Well, lipopolysaccharide helps to make up the structure of the outside of a cell membrane of gram-negative bacteria. So to make it simple, let's think about an egg. So let's say inside the egg is E. coli or gonorrhea or C. difficile, which causes traveler's diarrhea. And the outside of the egg is the egg shell. And let's say that the eggshell secretes a substance that protects what's inside. Well, that's lipopolysaccharide. So it basically coats the outside of these gram-negative bacteria to help them survive and carry out their horrific mission, making you sick. Lipopolysaccharide is classified as what's called an endotoxin, and that's not good for your gut. Endotoxin just means that it's a toxin produced inside of the bacteria, as opposed to outside of the bacteria. Lipopolysaccharide acts as an endotoxin to us as human hosts because the secretion of this endotoxin promotes a pro-inflammatory response, or what's called inflammatory cytokines, or a cytokine storm, which is like a frenzy of inflammation. We have toll-like receptors of our innate immune system, which is the immune system we were born with. And it recognizes lipopolysaccharide and triggers an immune response. And guess what? This could be the start of leaky gut. And here's why. As part of the cellular stress response, something called superoxide is one of the major reactive oxygen species that's induced by the presence of lipopolysaccharide. So let's simplify that. So basically what's happening here is your body triggers a stress response and creates inflammation when lipopolysaccharide is present in your gut. So the presence of lipopolysaccharide in turn causes oxidative stress and inflammation. And inflammation is what starts the leaky gut spectrum or cascade. If you ask any functional medicine doctor, what is the percentage of patients who have leaky gut that have presented to you with autoimmune conditions? And I believe most of them would say between 95 and 100%. So we can see the correlation between inflammation, leaky gut, and autoimmunity. In autoimmune disease, this happens due to a process called molecular mimicry. What happens in molecular mimicry is that your body recognizes tissue that may be your own human tissue as a threat and attacks. Lipopolysaccharide molecules in the gut have been thought to cause autoimmune-based responses such as flare-ups of multiple sclerosis. And I'm afraid that's not all. Epidemiological studies have previously shown also that increased endotoxin load, which can be a result of increased populations of endotoxin-producing bacteria in the intestinal tract, are associated with obesity-related patient groups. So there definitely seems to be a correlation between plasma lipopolysaccharide and insulin resistance. In case you haven't heard, diabetes and insulin resistance get their starts in inflammation. So, how do you know if you have lipopolysaccharide and inflammation in your gut? Well, you've heard me talk a lot about the Viome testing. Viome testing is absolutely comprehensive and will identify all pathogens, all good and bad bacteria, and everything that's going on with your gut and give you actionable steps that you can take. But I have a really simple one for you. And here's where my friend Saccharomyces boulardii comes into play. Sac boulardii is a prebiotic yeast that's awesome for your gut and for your immune system. And what makes this particular strain of yeast different and good is that while most probiotics are bacterial in origin, Saccharomyces boulardii is a yeast, but it acts as a probiotic. If we know that probiotics don't survive stomach acid very well, then it doesn't really make sense to chew or drink your probiotics, as they may not make it to their intended target. And what's even better? Sac boulardii in particular is an antibiotic-resistant strain of yeast take when you're on oral probiotics. Most other probiotics, like I said, are killed by antibiotics, and many people look for traditional probiotics during antibiotic use, and even their doctors truly don't know what to tell their patients to take. I work in the supplement department of a supermarket, and I can tell you people come into me and they'll say, I was just put on an antibiotic and my doc said to take a probiotic. My question is always, what probiotic did the doctor tell you to take? The patient's response? They didn't. So your doctor may know a lot about how to treat your bacterial infection, but truthfully, most of them know very little about how to treat and heal your gut. You can find this particular strain under the brand name of Florastor, but there are many, many others on the market. But Saccharomyces boulardii, like Florastor, have been shown in studies to cut C. diff infections by over 50% in one study. C. difficile is otherwise known to most people by traveler's diarrhea. But here, my friends, is the most exciting news of all. Saccharomyces boulardii neutralizes bacterial endotoxin. And lastly, according to Mike Mutzel of High Intensity Health Podcast, I quote, another reason why Saccharomyces boulardii may provide health benefits is because it increases the production of short-chain fatty acids, particularly the anti-inflammatory butyrate. And this may be why it helps to decrease the cytokines released from T helper cells. Studies have associated these cytokines with inflammation linked to bacterial endotoxin absorption, insulin resistance, and autoimmunity. So, the takeaway? Obviously, why guess when you can test? But if you're going to take a probiotic, why not try 30 to 60 days of Saccharomyces boulardii and watch your health improve? This has been Sandra Miller of Biohacking Wellness, a GPS for your DNA and your gut intelligence coach.